Hey you guys, this is take 5 for this video. I've I've hit my hand on the desk and created like a sonic boom with my microphone. and I was fidgeting with my timer to see how many hours I've spent on this brainstorm course I've been taking, this flash class actually, to see how many hours I've been putting into it. We're just gonna talk about that for a little bit before we hop into the work. I try to give you guys like a little bit of the like, I wouldn't say behind the scenes, but like more of a like what's a word like that means transparent? That is probably the dumbest thing I've probably said on this channel. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, just a little bit of transparency when it comes to like how I've done a lot of my project. God damn! I dragged OBS under my taskbar and now I can't see it. Are you kidding me? How am I gonna end the video now, dude? This is all right. Hold on, man. How do you get the window back? Now I gotta Google this. God dang it, man. All right. How to get... Sorry if my typing's super loud, by the way. I turned up the dB in my microphone because for some reason the audio was like halved. So I'm just gonna move it away or something. I'm gonna turn my microphone real quick so you won't be able to hear me that well. Just give me a second. Give me a second. How to get window from under taskbar. Right click and say move. What? To move a window that's under the taskbar, you can right click the program on the taskbar and click move. Right click the taskbar and select. No, what the? Man, dude. Okay, hold on. What? The easiest. Right? I'm gonna lose my. Oh man, dude. I'm trying not to curse in this video. Where is it, dude? Alt click, right click, control click. Man, all right, dude? What the fuck? All right, I don't know what to do. How? Okay, I'm gonna go to taskbar settings and just make it on the left real quick. Oh, lo and behold, the window pops into the center. Okay, dude. Saved. Okay, we got this. All right. So let me turn my mic back. All right. So let me get my microphone around this. So we're gonna just go over some of the work. Get this. Goddamn. All right. So yeah, for those of you guys that don't know, which is 99.99% of you guys, obviously, I've been taking this flash course on Brainstorm to just kind of fill out how the whole online classes thing works. I was always curious, and one of my friends, Tanya, she actually suggested that I take one, so I checked it out. So far, it's pretty good. I will say that because it's kind of a beginner class, like the first 3 classes were kind of mid for me because obviously I kind of know the basics when it comes to a lot of things. And that's usually what's covered. But what I will say this too. A lot of you, all right, I won't say you guys, but dude, for some reason, a lot of people, and I'm going to try not to get pissed, okay? There's a lot of people who take these classes who are like afraid to ask questions. I swear to God. Like the sorry, you guys can hear my chair. Dude, I'm starting to see red and I'm trying not to like lose my shit right now. But like, dude, if you're gonna pay the money for these classes, like you need to, people need to be like taking notes and like, dude, ask questions. God damn it. I'm not gonna curse after I finish talking about this, but like, dude, there's so many people. Like, there were like 9 people or like 10 people, I think, in the class, and then like 4 people show up, and then like I'm the only one asking questions. It's like, how's that possible, man? I talked about this in a Discord recently too, and it's like a lot of people have their parents to pay these things for them, or they might have like somebody else to like. Dude, I just can't like imagine dropping 150 bones, 150 mil on a class and then just not asking any questions. That's absolutely insane. But whatever. So I've been taking this flash class by Oliver Beck on fantasy blender. Um it's hard for me to say that like this is what came out of the class or whatever. It's hard for me to say that like it's 100%. Like if you can't take a flash. Okay, what I've learned is that you cannot take these flash classes with the going into them thinking that they're gonna go super in depth to like every step that they're taking. You know what I mean? Like I and it's hard. It's hard for me. Okay, maybe I should have did some like research on this shit before I pulled up OBS to record. But it seems like most of their classes, so a flash class is usually what, like 4 or 5 weeks. The main classes are 10 weeks. And they seem to be like 3 hours instead of 2. But you guys like I would only. It's hard for me, dude. It's hard for me to say. I wish I could go back in time and like step into my old self and then take one of these classes and be like, you know, would I recommend it? Because as like I wouldn't say I'm not like underselling myself enough to say like I'm an absolute beginner, but I'm also not cocky enough to say that I'm intermediate plus. You know what I mean? Like I just I find I don't know why I can't fucking talk. Why can I not talk, dude? It's like it's hard for me to realistically be like, you know, if you're a beginner and you want to get into concept art, like take a flash class, see how you like it. You know, like I like. For me, like I said, even for the basic things, they weren't really covered, and he also does not really have the time to cover these things because it's like I don't know what their like instructions are in terms of like where they need to end, you know, a piece for their class or whatever, but it seems like okay, like he needs to move things along. You know, you can't spend, you know, 4 hours just answering questions and going in depth on every single thing that you do. But like where this kind of gets made up, and I'll say this is in the Discord where you can ask questions and like or not like in call, like you're not like chatting with them voice chat in the server, you know what I mean? You're more like typing to them and then like they can answer questions that way back and forth. But like in the back of my mind I'm just like, well, if I had a specific question and I wanted to know something, what's the difference between me just reaching out to someone and like saying, hey man, like I like this from your piece, how did you do this? You know, like some of you guys will sometimes reach out to me, and like there's been times where I've literally been like in my car coming, like I just got home from work, I'm tired as shit, and then like one of you guys will message me on Instagram and I'll send a voice chat like then and there. Like, and it's like that's just, you know, we don't need, I mean, but I can't say that I've ever went like in depth through that. But like basically what I'm saying is like as far as like being able to talk to the teacher in the Discord through via text, like I don't see much of a difference between that and like just messaging someone and just them just giving you a quick rundown, it depends on the artist, of course, and like the levels of their success, because the more successful they are, chances are they won't have as much time to like walk you through things, and you start pushing into their personal time outside of work, that all that kind of stuff, But I'll say this, man, like I'm definitely considering taking like a full length course just to say that I've like to be able to like see from the other side, like because there's so many shortcomings for the class, like for the flash class that I've taken so far, that potentially would be made up in a full course. You know what I mean? Like 10 weeks. I have a friend who took a full course, and like from the looks of it, he enjoyed it. He got a lot out of it. But man, I'd have to see it for myself, you know what I mean? And there's, of course, like I don't know what it is, but for some reason there's also not a lot of people covering these things. I'm not gonna put it in my title, that's for damn sure, because like I don't want them to come after me and like, there's 15 minutes of me talking about this in my video, and then like it's an hour long, and then they're like, oh, we need the video to be gone like by tomorrow. Like, yeah, nah, I'm good. But yeah, just what would I say here? Because I really don't want you guys to like go into these classes, and I wonder too, and I don't want to talk about this for too much longer. I see I'm like 11 minutes in. I'm gonna try to keep the topics contained in these sections so that when I go throughout the video, like I can bookmark them and people can skip over what they want. Because I figure if I'm gonna be, talking in these videos, I should at least make it so that like the videos are like organized to where people can come and like listen to what they want to listen to, and let that be it. Now what the fuck was I just saying? Man. Oh, so like I said, with me having taken one of these brainstorm flash courses, right? And there's a lot of them. Like here, I'll pull up. Shit. Okay. So you have these classes, right? If you're an absolute beginner, like these will give you some information, but like you can almost argue, like I would say the biggest thing is that you get to talk to that person in real time while they're going over it. It's like an interactive YouTube video, if I would say that, like because it's like what I'm struggling with this is like finding out like where's the value it really like at outside of like some kind of structure and like wanting the pressure to turn something in. But even like people, from what I've seen, it's like of course it's only one class with maybe like 10 tops people in there, right? Like 10 students tops. It's like, because I also took the class to have some kind of structure so that when I was, working on this thing, I have the pressure to, keep working on it so I can get feedback, and the feedback isn't going to be in class time, obviously, because that's the time that the teacher has to spend, going over whatever the course is. And of course you can ask questions here and there, but you're not going to get like a full feedback, like, this is what's working, this is what's not working, X, Y, and Z. I would assume that would be in the more full courses, but in this case, it's hard for me to tell what exactly you would take these for. Now, I'm also thinking in terms of like, if you look at some classes, like some other platforms, like for example, Learn Squared, right? Learn Squared, I have not taken a class from this, but I am thinking about it, because it's like, recorded courses also have their benefits in the sense that like you once you buy them, you have them forever, and and it really just depends on the instructor. Like before I take a class on this, I'm for sure gonna make sure that I look the instructor up and see if I like their style of teaching. For me personally, like I tend to, for me, it's really hard to hold my attention. If the like for certain ways of teaching, I haven't really explored it in a way to like be able to vocalize why or what, when, why, where, how, but a lot of these courses, like you have, for example, okay, you have this class by Ellie Cooper, really badass concept artist. But then you also have like a video on YouTube, like complete Unreal Engine tutorial, and that's free. And this class is what, $74. So it's like, I would make sure that you research like what you can find on YouTube and just try to like learn from that first, and then consider taking a class to really gauge, because what you don't want to happen, which arguably seems like, I don't want to say Oliver's class is like I'm not okay. I don't want to say the class is bad, but I also don't want to like say that like you can't get most of that information off of YouTube. The middle point between both of those is the fact that you don't know what to look up. You know what I mean? You don't know what the guy's using in the first place, so you don't even know what, like, say for example you wanted to add fog into a scene, like chances are you're gonna look up how to add fog in Blender, and all that stuff will come up, and depending on which videos, you can get your list of information to elaborate on and build on or whatever. But in my opinion, like the worst thing that could happen for me is I take a class and I'm like, this is really all surface level information. Like I could have found all of this out without having to drop $174. At the end of the day, I think it just comes down to the person, man. I really don't want to keep talking in circles here, but my plan, like I said, was to try, because I don't have infinite money. Okay, so I was gonna try out one of these courses for maybe concept art, workflow related stuff, and see where things can go from there. Seems like a lot of things are on sale right now too. Huh. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'll talk about this later too, but there's a lot of gaps in my workflow that I'm trying to fill, and I think tutorials like this will probably help me out a lot. Like just seeing how people bridge certain gaps that I have, and just take what works, discard what doesn't. That's kind of the way that I look at tutorials, and I would recommend that to you guys. Don't try to take everything. All right, so yeah, I feel like I've talked about this enough to give you guys kind of like some kind of insight into how I'm looking at this, right? So, let's get back to this. So we start the class talking about architecture, and something was brought up called the brief builder. Brief builder is basically let me see. So brief builder app is pretty much like a generator for what word do you use, dude? Let's just call it a brief loadout. a loadout, right? You got your primary, secondary, tertiary, tactical, whatever. Okay. So yeah, basically you have themes, and you can select like time period, emotion. There's all these kinds of things you can play around with, right? Send the location, type, and then character, right? So I generate this Victorian excited river weapon mercenary. So the way my brain is registering this is like, okay, this is taking, I close my eyes and I'm thinking like, okay, this is taking place in the Victorian era. There's a mercenary walking along a river with some kind of weapon that they're excited about. I don't fucking know. Like, the things that are automatically connecting in my mind is like, it wouldn't be one mercenary, but maybe like a group of mercenaries traveling with some kind of caravan. along a river. Maybe they're getting like I think rivers are like the small ones, right? A lake is like a giant body of water, I think. So yeah, I'm thinking like, okay, maybe a group of like 3, 4 mercenaries. They're crafting some kind of weapons for yeah, and one of them is really excited about it, you know. And this is also in the Victorian era, or maybe one of the mercenaries is showing off, some kind of new weapon that they built, and they're really excited about showing it off. And this also in the Victorian era, and they're showing it at a river. So like they're like shooting this gun into the river, and then like there's gonna be some big explosion coming out of the river, showing some kind of destructive power for fishing or like some kind of fishing. I don't know. But yeah, this is basically the brief builder. So like tried again, dying earth, scary, harbor, foliage. I don't know what that even type. What? And then mother. Okay, that's kind of fucking weird. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of strange. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys get the gist of it. So I got something like fearful Russian engineer, medieval, elegant. Now obviously I changed for culture. I changed these three. Character didn't really matter, but I did make a note here that this could be the set dressing. So like, if you built a house, using the Russian culture, medieval time period, with an elegant style. Let me make sure I'm still recording. Okay. Conveying some kind of fearful emotion. The things that could be surrounding it could be engineering related. So like the set dressing is showing like a bunch of work tables and files and all kind of stuff. So basically I started researching a little bit into medieval Russia, and I found out a lot of interesting things. I kind of knew that like why there wasn't a lot of medieval buildings in that area, because most of the old architecture was made out of wood. There's like dense forests, and their main resource is wood. So that's what they got good at. People builded. They holy shit. They built with wood, and I'm assuming that people got really good at carving it. Making wooden carvings and little, toys out of wood and all that kind of stuff. And like I find these little fun facts that kind of deepen my interest in it that I could potentially play off later. And then I start building a little reference. God damn it, not anything crazy. Just some basic stuff, surface level references. I like to say, because this is the stuff you probably find within 5 minutes of looking for references. Whereas like stuff like this, you get probably a little deeper, 10 minutes, and then that just usually branches off to crazier references that aren't directly related, but maybe their architecture, the architecture styles that were not in the Russian area, but like maybe right outside of it. And when I say medieval Russia, I'm talking about obviously like all of the many Germanic tribes that were in the area. Not like there was no Russia and 1300, Europe. There was a bunch of tribes fighting for territory, pretty much. I would assume pretty close to how America was with the Indians, or not the Indians, but like the Native Americans, because it's funny. They're called Indians because apparently like Columbus thought that he landed in India. Crazy shit. I don't know. I don't know the whole story. So like all you history guys, like please don't beat my ass. I don't know what I'm talking about. When it comes to that. So yeah, what was I talking about? Give me a second here. Give me a couple more seconds. Stand by. Okay, yeah. So yeah, when I say like Russia, I'm talking about like the Germanic tribe. Like I think it was called Kiev. Yeah. Or no, Proto-Slavs. Vendée, yeah. So this is like the area that it was the name of the. I wish I had the map, but yeah, basically like it was something like that's what the area was called back then. Most likely, like, and it's it's referred to as the Proto-Slavs in the video that I watched. And the video that I did watch was called, quote, "This is why there are no medieval buildings in Russia." So if you guys want to check that out, like that's where I got that information. And I basically started doing my level 1 sketches. So yeah, like I didn't really think too hard with these. I mean, obviously I was still thinking, but like, you know, you could see I'm starting to try to like break down what makes these buildings look the way they do and what features are like jumping out at me the most. And I didn't really want to I wasn't really trying to like nail the whole fearful thing. I know that was like part of the motion that was supposed to be in it, but I honestly, like, man, I wasn't trying to like get that too much. Even with my like most recent ones, I wasn't really trying to push that too much, but I did lean into it a little bit when it came to references. So yeah, this was pretty much my first pass of sketches, and this was all for like the first week of homework too. So like, I think this is probably the most work I did in 1 week for the homework. So I started focusing a little bit more on like the silhouettes a little bit, and then I went for the more of the inner detail stuff. So yeah, just trying to figure out like what's making these things look the way they do. And I also had like let me see. See if I can pull it up here without spoiling where we're at now. Okay, so this is a lot of the references that I was looking at. So it's like, yeah, this is some of the references. These are like some of the things that I found, like, you know, after a few hours of looking at references. Like stuff like this I found was pretty cool. Now this is obviously not medieval era, but like you can see where like what I'm looking at mainly is like where did they place a lot of their detail around the windows and around like the little, I don't know the name of this, but like around the bottom of the roofs and like along these spots. No, that's consistently where they tend to put a lot of that detail. So yeah, not much to say about this one though. It's pretty much like just the level. I would say these are just level 2 sketches. It's just building on level 1 ones, the level 1 sketches. So this is kind of I kind of jumped to like level 3 where I was just trying to figure out, you know, and understand more of like where the details were. So that's where I kind of played around with these. And I used the mirror tool to save myself a lot of time with these too, because obviously you don't want to sit there just kind of drawing the same exact thing when you could have just mirrored it. So most of this stuff is symmetrical anyway, so like it just helped a lot. For those of you that don't know where the mirror tool actually is, it's right here. So like you can click vertical, and then like whenever I drag it somewhere, that's where it's going to be. Then you can just select the layer and then just draw, you know, and it'll, I'm doing this with my mouse, so give me some slack. But yeah, you can save a lot of time doing that. Oh fuck, there we go. Yep. Yeah, and then this was pretty basically like another, like the last page of sketches that I was gonna do, but I was just like, you know what? I should just probably get into 3D at this point and just see how it looks from there. And this was like another version of that like I had, and I tried playing with like a different, you know, that same shape from, let me see, bada bing. Being real careful here not to like show anything that's from the later stages. Actually, let me do it on my other screen. That'll be a lot easier. All right, I don't really know where it is, but these two references, or these three, I would say, really stuck out to me for some reason, which was this one. I thought this one was pretty cool. I thought this pillar was pretty cool, and then I thought like the detail around. I just thought all three of these were really cool. This one was okay. Like it was just kind of just helping me understand some more context stuff. But so yeah, so after that, I started thinking, well, I need to know where my camera angle is gonna be. So I started doing these sketches for like the camera and all that kind of stuff, and just like playing with different heights for my horizon line and all that kind of stuff, seeing what made them more intimidating, what made them less intimidating. And then I did a couple like thumbnails to see like, well, what would it look like from the front? What would someone see from the outside, like walking up to it, you know? Did I want it to be more like a gatehouse entrance type style? A walled off, just kind of wooden city, or like a fortress? You know, and the coolest idea was probably the fortress. So yeah. Holy shit. Sorry guys, I just got off of work like 4 hours ago, so I'm kind of tired. So this brought me to 3D, right? Oh, my computer's about to chug. All right, I'm gonna turn off materials though. Let me see. There we go. All right, so basically I started with I want to make sure this is still okay. Yeah, so I started off with like a lot of the sketches, right? So let me see. Because obviously, like looking back at all of the sketches that I did, I couldn't make all of these. Oh, and of course, if I didn't make it obvious just now, but like if you want to get rid of the symmetry line, you could just click the button up here and say symmetry off. I don't know if there's a shortcut for that or not. I'm pretty sure you could probably make one, but yeah. So I made number 3 right here. So this was kind of like my little block out for number 3. And I wanted it to be like kind of, I was trying to hint at the whole like fearful part with having windows that were like not revealing, you know? Like if you had just normal glass windows, like it just looks militaristic having these like really vertical windows here. And it just kind of seems like the sole purpose of them is just to let light in, not to let information out. You know, like compared to this person's size, they're very tall. So like it would be an inconvenience to get up to that height to even look in them. And then like I said, like they're looking down so they can pretty much see you and you probably can't see them. If I really wanted to push it, like just brainstorming right now, right? Like you could put even like some holes on the top of the roof that could like maybe there's latches on top of them that you can pull down, and that's how they get their light too from the sun. I don't know why like natural lighting is just something that I just always like to mess with, like to see, you know, where you can push things. Obviously that would not be historically accurate probably. I would assume that it isn't. But I think it would be pretty cool to see some like light. Actually, I think I did that with one of them right here. Like with the attic being able to, you know, you have this panel that closes down, you know. Say it like rains and they have this like watertight seal or something. They just close it down and then bada bing. And then it stops raining, they open it. And then this light bounces in there and helps this person like light their study or something, you know. But yeah, that was kind of my idea. Same with these. Like I was actually thinking about like World War. I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 1 lately, a little bit. I mean, and I always noticed that in the bunkers. Obviously, they're with them being defensive. They're basically horizontal arrow slits. Like if you think of it that way, you know. So like you try to reveal as little of yourself while exposing while the enemy is pretty much completely exposed. Which is kind of like why I have this guy in here to just kind of show that like the most you would see from him. Like if you were standing right here, right? Funny story. Like I remember being in middle school and like people make shit up all the time, but I went to this rich kid's neighborhood, right? And he was like, yeah, this house right here is kind of weird because The guy, like, he's kind of weird. He never really comes outside. He's creepy. Like, obviously, I'm in middle school, so this is creeping me the fuck out. But, like, I just remember, I don't know why this came up, right? But, like, this guy had an attic, and, like, you could see the window. But, like I said, there's the most that you would see from anyone looking out of it is, like, their head. If they want, like, or the top of their head. Like, all they need to see is, like, their pretty much their nose and up, barely even that, to like reveal pretty much all of you. Like, if you're standing right here, let me see, if I'm standing right here, right, and I'm looking up, so let me see, I'm gonna try to zoom in on this guy's fucking head real quick. So if I'm looking up, right, I can at most see this guy's head, and that's like that is see like I can at most see this guy's head, so he's a very small target. And for him, he can see my whole body, and he has the height advantage. So it just kind of plays on that. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of kept that for most of them. Like this one, not so much. Like this one was a little bit more revealing. So let me move this guy back to the where he was. Well, it doesn't matter. This is one of the older files anyway. For this one, I guess I kind of kept that same energy. Like it's you still can't really see out of the like into the window, whereas they can look out and see you like perfectly fine. So it's kind of like still with that same thought, I guess. With this one, that's kind of out of the window because like I mean, no pun intended. I mean, I guess you could maybe see into the window, but you'd be like, considering this is like a 6 foot tall scale or whatever, right? Like you would probably be hard pressed to get any real information out of there, considering you're probably like 5 inches shorter than this guy. I know I'm probably a couple inches, I thought I was, okay, a couple inches. All right, wait, hold on, dude. I'm talking about height. Like, I thought I was like 5'10". Quick story, dude. I went to the doctor this one day, and the chick was the nurse was like, "How tall are you?" And now I'm like, "Oh, I'm 5'10". That's what it says on my ID. Like when I went to go get my ID, that's all they did. They just asked me like, "Oh, okay, how tall are you?" I was like, "Oh, 5'10". So my whole existence, like after my ID, is like I'm 5'10". I go to the doctor, and this lady, she's like, cute chick. Like she was like, I wasn't trying to impress her or anything, but like I was just like, she's like, "How tall are you?" I was like, "Oh, I'm 5'10". And then like I get on the scale, right? I get on the thing where like it touches the top of your head. So and then she just kind of like has this smirk, and I'm like, "What happened?" And she's like, "You're 5." I think she said like 5'8" or 5'9". I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, what do you mean? Like, and she's like, I remember asking like, do people like lie about their heights a lot? She's like, "Yeah, guys, yeah, mostly." And I was just like, dude, I swear I thought I was that for real. Like, why did I tell you guys that story? I have no idea. This is just what comes with me rambling. But, yeah, so, all right, anyways, yeah, so, like, realistically, your boy's like this. So, like, my head would be kind of seeing not that much through these windows. And of course there would be shutters and whatnot. But yeah, this was kind of like I was just kind of using the similar, non-revealing windows. But this one I didn't really like that much, honestly. Like I didn't really like it. This one was okay. It's kind of the same logic, just a bunch of arrow slits or whatever, like 360 degrees with like a more revealing window higher up, because obviously you have to worry less about someone climbing through them. That was the logic behind these two, like these little windows being a little bigger because they're higher up. So yeah. At this point, I mean, even now, I still don't really know what the function of each building is. I just kind of went with feeling. I think that's probably one of my biggest criticisms. critiques I would give myself, right, is because I did all these sketches without any real thought into like what they would be. Like, for example, I thought this one would be like a chapel or something, but looking at it now, it seems more like a barracks, or like not even like a barracks, or like I don't know. And I would imagine like when going through this door, you'd go up some steps, you know. There'd be like, you know, yeah. I mean, yeah, nah. I couldn't see that one being a chapel, no way. Fuck. Okay. Yeah, so like I kind of vaguely just gave these things names. I didn't really even, if I'm being honest, I didn't really think of that much. And this brings me to the second thing, right? Is like for my teacher, for the teacher, let me see, where's his for the teacher Oliver Beck, right? For his scene, you know, he basically used one building and kind of just made variations of it throughout the scene. You know, you shrink it on the y-axis, you make it a little taller, a little skinnier, you move it over here, move it over there. Okay, that looks cool. Add a little thing, you know, add some things onto it that's different from the other ones so it doesn't look exactly the same. And I pretty much was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to make a whole town. So I end up with 8 buildings out of the 13 or 14 that I sketched. And I was just like, man, this is too much. Like, so essentially, instead of designing one, what I would prefer to do is like design 1 to like 4 to a really high level or something like that I'm happy with. When I say high level, it's just really well thought out. You know, things are on purpose. They're not just random. Now I have 8 that are seemingly less well thought out. And now that I'm looking at this, I'm definitely gonna hop back onto some of these and like make some adjustments. But this is obviously like the first version of my Blender file. So, but yeah, this was supposed to be like some kind of guard tower slash barracks. Like maybe an officer sleeps up here, or like 2 officers like go through shifts, like doing paperwork downstairs, and then the ones resting up here, or like out throughout the city doing other work, field work, etc. And then they just switch, you know. Yeah, this is another one. I think this one's probably closer to the chapel than the other one for sure. But I was trying to use these planks as some kind of like a visualizer because I hadn't gotten the textures in yet. So I was just kind of using this as the you know, to say like, okay, I'd have wood right here and wood would be going straight across there. So yeah, that was also one of my sketches. I'll show it right here. Let's see. I think it's probably on page 2. Yeah, this one. So that's where that idea kind of came from. And then this was just a house, you know. Could have probably eased up on the amount of windows. And looking at it now, it's like, oh man, that's a lot of windows. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, and this also doesn't really fit the whole non-revealing part. So if a house like this was to be real, like it would be deeper in the village. Like the closer you are to the walls, maybe the less and more guard, like the less number of windows you would have, and the more like, you know, guarded off they would be. You know, the slimmer, the more narrow, and then the closer to you get to the to the center of the city, maybe it would be like more, you know, open, more normal, more, you know, I would say less militaristic in a way. Like it's like okay, like we're in the center of the city, the chances of someone hostile being here and outsider being here are just a lot lower. You can let your guard down a little bit, but your guard's still up, you know, that kind of thing. This house is probably closer to what, you know, I would think is like, you know, you have two windows on this side, no windows on the back, maybe some higher windows here to let in light. But then again, I would also make these slimmer for sure. Like I would realistically have them like this. You know what I mean? Or maybe here. Let me actually see real quick. I can just edit the cutter. Okay, so it'd be like that. You see? So you still have the outside, but like these are a little less open, like compared to how it just was. Let me put it on this so you know. Oh, well, it doesn't really work when you can see the whole interior of the damn house. Ah, okay. Yeah. So that's kind of what I was thinking about here. Just more. Yeah. This is way too many goddamn windows, but I'd still keep it just because it just looks as unrealistic as it looks. It just, for me, it just looks interesting somehow. Maybe I would even, you know what? I wouldn't even remove the windows. I would just make them fake windows. Like, you know how people have like old towns, how they have those fake windows. Like some kind of thing like this. Like I live in Chicago, so I see stuff like this all the time. And I think it came from like some movement. Like basically there was some time in the past where like they were taxing buildings based on how many windows they had. So the people who own the buildings are like, oh fuck that. And we like just started sealing up windows. It's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty interesting how like history just influences so many different things. So it'd probably be some kind of thing like that. Not with that kind of origin, but like some kind of facade. Like if you look at a lot of medieval facade, let's see. And we're gonna type castle. Because I think that's where the biggest ones were. The biggest facade, like good examples of facades. And I don't know if I'm using the right word too. Okay, let's say church. Basically, they're like these. Let me see. Okay, yeah. All right, so like you see these like brick arches, these arches, right? And how there's like no real window there. It's just kind of to give the wall detail. Maybe there could be some kind of version of that, but like in the house. So instead of having like this, you know, revealing feel to the windows, like these could instead be some kind of like thing to just give detail to that wall. How that would work with the wooden structure, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty confident I could figure that out. And then this is what the biggest building I pretty much have, which is going to be like the main focal point, being this like temple or like big building. I don't want to say temple because I'm not one for like big religious. I'm not like the. I mean, I could probably make it work, but like I don't want to. Me having like a religious building or something as my focal point and having to like design that out wouldn't really be that interesting. But the building itself has a very like unique look to it. I think it's a look that I really like, and it was based off of this reference right here. So there's these like stacking roofs, and I just kind of like took that and just dialed it up a little bit. So like I still have, like if you look at it from this perspective, right, it has the same idea, but it's just, I just added my own taste to it. And this is actually the detail level that I was going to stick with, because the way that I like to render is like I leave a lot of open space for damage and, potential storytelling or patterns and stuff like that. But Oliver was really pushing me to up the detail level, so you guys will see that later. But yeah, to me, if I like had my camera, yeah, here it was. Like to me, like this was like a nice detail level. And obviously I put the textures in there, and that would be that. But yep. So we'll go to 2. Let's see if anything really changed here. Okay, so this is where I was trying to figure out the color scheme. And this is also where I wanted to lean more into the whole fearful part of things, right? Like trying to have a color scheme that was more or like not more or less, but like less inviting and more like hostile feeling, like and this is also before I added in the HDRI for the lighting or whatever, so it really wasn't like that. The atmosphere of the renders and stuff wasn't really there yet. But I was still, this is like the ugly duck face for me pretty much. It's like trying to figure out the lighting and the textures and what color scheme all at the same time, essentially. So I'll just go through each one and show you what they looked like at that time. So yeah, just did like minimal. I don't know why this texture's like freaking the fuck out right here, but yeah, it's like wooden planks going, like literally these two textures are the same. I don't know why this one's like freaking out, but it's pissing me off just looking at it because it's still something I haven't really figured out yet. But yeah, it's yeah, you know, bare bones, still figuring things out here. But yeah, I was thinking like some kind of red. When it came to color schemes, I was looking at like red and brown snakes, like those the poisonous ones, not the yellow ones, but like yeah, something like this. I was originally okay. For those of you who are scared of snakes and shit, like I'm scared of snakes, but like just a heads up, because I care about you guys. I don't want to jump scare anybody. So yeah, like a color scheme like this, right? Like black and brown. Obviously, my saturation is not like this high. Detail level is not that high yet, but I was just looking and seeing like what kind of, you know, schemes were there for the snakes. And this is also like, you know, a very fear-inducing animal or whatever the fuck. So like, yeah, I think I was cooking personally. I think I was cooking. But yeah, the color scheme was still kind of bland. I was still figuring things out, so that I still had a lot of white on things. And obviously when you go from something like where was it? Yeah, when you go from, you know, everything being uniform and the same color to now everything's, you know, mismatched and stuff, it can be kind of demoralizing, I won't lie. And what is going on with the scale here, man? This door is massive. That is a big ass door, dude. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, I hope it's not. I hope my scale isn't that that messed up, man. I gotta look back at that. I mean, this looks like a more normal sized door than this one. Holy. I mean, it could be some kind of rich general's house or something, but damn, even then. But yeah, I was just figuring out colors, and the way I basically did this was like I was saving incremental, so like it just saved like a second version of the file. And I was actually talking to one of my friends, Evan, about like, because this is something else that I ran into as well. Like the fact that, you know, if I were to do one of these angles, right, I don't need to be designing the buildings down to like the smaller details. I need to worry about the bigger shapes and the readability from that camera distance. So it was also like, okay, with me, you know, designing I was designing and thinking about things that wouldn't even be visible from this camera angle. So that ended up with me changing the camera angle to be inside of the fort instead of outside of it, which changed pretty much which brought me to a conclusion that kind of made all of this information and exploration kind of useless. I mean, not useless, but like I deviated from the path that I was going down so hard that like I can't really look at all of this stuff anymore and it give me useful information, or like I don't know. Another thing I noticed with these sketches now that I'm looking at it is like, I guess I can kind of explain what my thought process between each one. So we'll start with 4, right? So 4 was like, it's kind of scary. I mean, you're close to something that's very unrevealing. I would imagine that the city would be really dark and there would be very dim lights on the inside of the, buildings. This would be so that, if you think of human eyesight, right? If you have a bright light and you look away from it, your eyes have to adjust a lot more than if that light were to be dim. Because obviously your pupils have to, they have to basically go smaller so that your eyes don't take in too much light and blind you. And then, so if that light was dimmer, your pupils would be a little bigger so that when you turned away from that light and, looked into a dark forest, your eyes don't take so long to adjust. This is partially why pirates have the eye patches or whatever, apparently, because like when they go under, when you go under into the ships, like, of course, above the, like on the, I don't know like the terminologies for ships that well, but when you're on the top of the ship, right, you have full vision. Your pupils are probably super small because you've got a whole bunch of sunlight, all that kind of stuff around you. But when you go into the decks, it's dark. So when you lift that eye patch, you can pretty much see immediately. Like there's not like a 10-second delay or 15, 2-minute delay in terms of what you can and can't see. So that eye patch would do that. So like looking at it now, the lights in here would probably be pretty dim to help out with being able to see outside if you had to look out the window in an emergency or something, or if you're going back and forth between window and window, you don't want to have to look out a window and like while your eyes are adjusting to the darkness of the outside, like people could just be running through the bushes and you wouldn't see them for the next 10 seconds because your eyes have to adjust. Stuff like that. Just looking down. This one is kind of less intimidating because it gives that feeling in Far Cry where you're like on a tower and you're looking down and you're able to plot pretty much how you're going to take out every enemy. You're able to mark them. You know where the RPG guys are. You know where, the snipers are. You know where the alarm guy is. You know where the dogs are. You know where the explosive barrels are. You know where the vehicles are. All that kind of stuff. So it's less intimidating because you're essentially, your enemy. You know what they're capable of. Same with this one, even more so because it's more, higher up on the hill. This one is a little bit more intimidating because it's like through some bushes and like similar to this one, the walls are so tall that you can't even really gain any information outside of like, okay, there's a building here. There's one there, there's one there, and then like that's pretty much all you can really say. You have no scouting potential from that angle, besides like, oh, the higher up could be in this window. He can be in this room. So yeah, that's pretty much that. This one's kind of the same energy. It's still kind of intimidating, but the problem with this is that there's a big ass empty space in the middle. So you would have to essentially just find a design solution for that, because obviously if this is what your focal point is, and then you just have like an empty hill in the middle of your fucking thumbnail or your camera, it's like, what's like, I mean, there's so much better ways to use that space. This one's kind of similar to these two in the sense that you're kind of walking up to it, but it's also kind of at a higher angle where you can see a little bit more over the walls, so I wouldn't say that one's too intimidating. So basically, I was playing around with like a high, a high horizon line and a low horizon line, and seeing the effects of that from the perspective of it being more and less intimidating. I briefly started trying to plot out what the city would look like, but at this point, like I just didn't. It didn't really matter too much yet because I didn't know where my camera would be. So you don't see any camera, so I don't have any like ups or downs in terms of what's revealed, what's not revealed, how the focal point looks. And I already explained these three. So going back to Blender. So yeah, this is pretty much how things were looking with the building. So I didn't try to like unwrap these or anything like that for the textures. It's just like I tried to get the grains going in the right direction, and that was pretty much the gist of it. Like anything outside of that can pretty much be adjusted in Photoshop. I mean, even his like Oliver's wasn't. I don't even think he put that much time into like UVing. Like you can see the grain of the trees or the wood like right there. And if you were to try to, that's the thing with gigantism, or I think that's the right word, gigantism when it comes to architecture is like, well, in a fantasy setting, if your guy's that small and these planks are that wide and that big, did they build this with giants? Did they use magic? What trees are that big that their planks can be, there's planks that could be made that big out of them, There's a bunch of questions that come with stuff like that, but like, I mean, fantasy, you can almost justify it however you want. And I doubt like the average person is gonna even notice that. Like you can even see like the stretching of the texture there. I highly doubt anybody would be really looking at that. And considering that it's concept art, like this is kind of like a mood thing rather than an information and design thing. Because I feel like once this has been approved, that's where you start going in and saying, okay, well, how's the road connected, from A to B? Where's their guard stations at? Where's the gates? Where's, yeah. So going over to the third one. This is where I started to explore a much more vibrant and less intimidating approach. And that's with all of them in terms of color scheme. You can see here. So like if I turn the render mode on, this is pretty much how it looks. And I think this looks a lot better. Even though it's not as intimidating, it just looks better. I think the color scheme is getting there. I would say the color scheme is probably 90% there. And I'm pretty happy with how it looks. I mean, I'm not really trying to worry too much about the textures and whatnot. I can probably do that in like Photoshop. And for the most part, yeah, this is pretty close to where I ended. You can see the silhouettes had a little bit of a change in some spaces, and there's some spikes that I've added. And I didn't want to be like the typical like, spikes everywhere, orcish type architecture. But I did get a little bit of the inspiration from these, jagged, like, you see there's just spikes. Nothing here is smooth, you know what I mean? So I was just kind of looking at that when I was doing these. And looking at it now, I'd probably change a bit of it, but whatever. These patterns on the sides, though, I will say is kind of irritating me because if you look here, I do have a reference, because I was taking like snapshots and whatnot for like posting in the class. But this gingerbread house, man, I was looking at this, and even one other person said it too. Like, they're like, man, this kind of looks like a gingerbread house. I don't know if that's because it's getting close to Christmas or what, but like, man, I gotta like, I don't even know. But so the next thing that I was running into at this point is like, okay, well, I still don't know where my camera is and what parts of the buildings are going to be shown. So I don't know which parts to add more detail to. So I had this second scene, and this was pretty much like, let me see. Yeah, so this was pretty much the extent of the detail that I had in the scene, as far as layout goes, you know. And I have some screenshots. Let me see. So this was kind of my first photo. So like at this point, I still don't know how I'm gonna lay everything out. This is also with the like before I fixed up the colors a little bit more, so you can see like obviously like I just merged each building, so there's like arrays that are floating out of it, but for the most part I'm just trying to see like how am I going to use these buildings, you know, because at this point like now I've got the Lego set together and now I just need to arrange them to look nice, and then from there just start adding more and more context. So like for the most part I was just trying to see like, okay, well, I want this building to be here. I think that would look pretty cool, and I want all of these buildings to kind of be around it and give it the context of that, you know, in the inside of that fortress. And I was using this method of blocking out kind of the environment from Oliver Beck, or yeah, Oliver Beck, because in a lot of his pieces, there's actually where's one that shows how he blocked it out. I forget which one it is, man. Let me see. There's one that he showed that had the breakdown, and it could be on his Instagram or something. I don't know if he even has one, dude. These look crazy, man. Dude, Oliver, if you're watching this somehow, I don't know how word travels around, but dude, you did a badass job with this. I think I remember seeing this in school too. Just looking at it like, damn, dude. Like, how is bro cooking like this? Okay, yeah, I don't think I'll be able to find it, but basically, like, you just, for your levels, you just block it in. You don't need to worry about terrain and stuff yet, you know, smoothing things out. So that's what I was doing here. I wasn't really trying to focus on that. I was just thinking about the layout of the buildings purely. And then I just kind of move things around just a little bit to make it more, I don't know, like get the thing more into like taking up most, like this is the one singular object that's taking up the most space, whereas like this one is kind of like, it still is, but you could argue that some things are running up close, you know, like this building could potentially take up more attention. You could say this one would potentially. But yeah, like as far as like all the windows and stuff, you can't really see, like they're all like fucked up because once you merge a building once I merged the building and I applied, like I smart applied everything, like all kinds of glitches happen. Like you can see some of the detail, like some of the patterns aren't even there, but for the most part I'm looking at the silhouettes, so it didn't really matter. So yeah, just kind of adjusted this just a little bit, and I was liking where this was going. And then right here I'm starting to kind of frame it, so I'm taking more attention away with this like pillar here, because like, and the tops of the roofs are all pointing towards it too, so like if you were like looking at this, like you look up and then boom, you look up and then like everything's kind of just lined up towards it. But one thing that one of my other friends, he told me, like, was like, yeah, it's kind of weird because you can, you know, perfectly see the front of every building. So if some of them were more like covered up like this one back here, you know, like that would be a little bit more realistic. So I'll see what I can do in terms of that. But yeah, just the framing, with the, like, some kind of past that you're going through, and you can hang stuff from up here. That's what Satchit was suggesting. I haven't gotten feedback from my friend Jerome yet, but I need to. I like to just get feedback from the three of them, because they all have very different ways of approaching. That's one of the great things of having, you know, some good close friends that you can just bounce things off of, and people they focus on different things. Like, for me, I don't know what they would say I focus on. I don't even know what I would say I focus on, but yeah. And then this was kind of a little bit more of a expansion on that. So I even have the spikes in the foreground that are pointing towards that thing too. So it's like, at this point, like, this is where I kind of stopped as far as that goes. But generally speaking, I know what I'm trying to show with the scene. What I will say is I'm probably going to take one of these buildings out and just kind of make, you know, maybe I'll make some stalls or something, because I want to add some, like, life support to it. You know, I don't want, because the scene is so close. I mean, if it were more of a far away scene like what Oliver usually does, this could probably be a lot simpler. But because it's, you know, first person inside of a city and living area, like, there needs to be some more context, because this obviously it's not telling you really much about these guys. Like, it's just a bunch of buildings in a forest, in a fortress, like, walled off. And this building's up here for some reason. I'm probably gonna take that out. But these are watchtowers too, so, like, I wanted them to be present as well. Probably take this back one out for sure, and take this one out. But what I was thinking was, like, in the space in between these buildings, there could be some trees. So I gotta figure out, like, what I'm gonna do for that. And it's my first time actually doing all that in Blender. I mean, my whole thing is, like, I really like doing line work over stuff. So, like, this is gonna be more on the painterly side, so I could seriously fuck things up here. The whole thing that I hate, the only thing that I hate about trying new things when it comes to design is just making sure I'm still recording here. The only thing that I hate when it comes to design sometimes is that, like, or trying new things like painting and all that, is, like, I feel like a design just gets wasted because the design isn't gonna come out looking nice on my first time painting. Like, for this one, this is one piece that I did, and, like, I really liked how the props looked. I mean, they're not crazy sci-fi, but, like, this was supposed to be a painting, this whole interior thing, and it ended up being just, you know, line work. And I kind of, sure, it came out looking a little better than I was really, like, it came out looking a little bit more better because I stuck to my comfort zone and used line work instead of painting, and just kind of, you know, did all that stuff afterwards, you know, like all the rendering and stuff. And it's not like, it's not crazy looking yet, but, like, we're getting there. We're starting to understand, you know, how certain things are laid out. But I didn't get to learn, you know, like, I let me see if I included it here. Okay, well, I didn't, but I had tried painting over it, and I wish, in hindsight, I just kind of wish I did that, but I just didn't want such a detailed design to just go to waste. It felt like it would have went to waste if I just tried to paint all this stuff and it looked like shit, and then like, it's like, oh man, like, now this design is just, you know, messed up where it could have been really cool. I still like how this came out, man. For my first time doing sci-fi, man, I think I did okay. Man, I had to really push myself to get, like, details this high. But where I fell short was probably in story. Because, I mean, I could tell you that this is some kind of control panel. I mean, you could take that apart from yourself, like saying, like, this is the layout. Sorry if you just hurt my stomach. I need to eat something. But yeah, from the layout you can see clearly like this is the ship or whatever, and they're probably running some kind of diagnostics, you know, performance tests or something on it while it's hovering in the middle of this or being held by chains but in the middle of this office area or whatever. But yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where like I don't want to run into the same problem where you try to make everything unique, and then in trying to do that, like nothing's unique because everything's designed to a lower level rather than one thing being the focal point, being elaborated on, and then everything else is just kind of familiar. You know, I didn't have to do some like crazy, wacky looking whatever the hell this is. You know, I just could have went with like a normal tool station, and for this I could have went with like or over here I could have just went with like a normal, you know, normal recognizable things rather than trying to design every single little piece, like every little light being designed, every like not having the same monitors. Like I was just kind of, my energy was just being, it wasn't being efficiently diverted to whatever needed to be focused on. It was just like, I want everything to be unique and fuck. Like in doing that, you really do sacrifice a lot of the I don't know, you just sacrifice a lot in doing that. I don't know how else to put it. But yeah, those are pretty much the screenshots. So yeah, that's pretty much this one. And then let me go back to the main scene. All right, so yeah, I'll just put this in materials. So yeah, you can see like I just tried to up the detail level just to see if like I can make it work. And this is how it looked before. So you got I end up zooming in on the gingerbread man house, and it's like, yeah, this is how it looked before, this is how it looks now. Like fuck. But yeah, oh my god, this one looks especially like a gingerbread house. This is what I'm talking about. Like, I was looking at this white on brown color scheme, and I was just like, god damn it. But yeah. Let me put that back. So yeah, this let me see. Where's a picture of the... Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is pretty much how it looked before. This is pretty much how it looks now. At this point, at least in render mode. So before, here, and then like kind of after. There's a lot of benefit to both. Like, I personally don't like how detailed this is. I like the rather simplistic version more. But yeah, can't go through trying to make everything perfect, you know. And then I went and adjusted like each building to make it more interesting, I guess. Because like, I mean, at first this is how this one looked, which arguably if I adjusted, like I could have, instead of going with the bright green, I could have probably went with like a bright red or like a bright orange, you know, and probably got the same effect. But with this one, like obviously like the detail level was lacking in a lot of places. So in the next one, I kind of upped the detail a little bit. Oh, whoops. There we go. So that's how that one was looking. So you got these two. And that's how it looks like that. And there's this one, which was this. This is kind of how it looked. Really simplistic, man. Like I said, I'm not really that comfortable with adding a bunch of layers of detail onto things yet, so arguably like these look kind of bad depending on what lens you're looking through it. So yeah, actually I'll just, yeah, same detail level pretty much. Just where's the guard tower? Yeah, right there. So like you can just see how the colors changed. Yeah, so this is how it looked, and then over here, that's kind of how it looks now. Which is just, I don't know. I really don't like this one. I feel like this one's so forced. It's giant too, and for it not being the focal point, this takes a lot more. There's a lot more areas to play around with to try to make it work. So I think this one's just getting scrapped. If I'm being honest, I mean it's a cool idea, but that's just gonna take too much time. Yeah, and then this one with the giant ass windows. Gotta do some adjusting to that, but yeah, that's how it looked before, and this is kind of how it looked now. So it's definitely less intimidating. And then yeah, so I'm gonna go to 4, and 4 is the most recent one. So I've done some adjustments on these. Let's go to the main scene. So yeah, this one pretty much looks the same for the most part. But I tried applying that same, the same feeling to the other ones to see if I could get it a little bit more. You see, like it just looks less. I feel like if the color scheme wasn't green on brown, it would look a lot more intimidating if it was like red or something like that. But with it being like this, it's alright, man. Fuck. I don't want to like. Yeah. So this is where is it at? Yeah. So this is kind of how it looked before, and my feedback was kind of that this color scheme was a little bit, boring, bland, which I agree with. Like it definitely needed more tweaking. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I think that the change I made to this is positive for the most part. I just need to maybe adjust how much green is in this shit. Like just looking at it with a brand new lens, like through a brand new lens or whatever. I don't know. And then this is, man, sorry you guys for all the pixel going on here, but yeah, this is kind of how the house is looking now. Oh my god, that looks like ass. Yeah, so like I just added in this other part because I was just like, man, it looks kind of boring with the silhouette. Like if I just pressed the Y here, like the silhouette was just pretty much a house with the thing on the top. So I just added this little thing on the side in hopes that would help a little bit. Yeah. This one I don't like too much, but it's okay. I mean, I'll probably figure something out for it. And then these two, I still need to figure out as well. So, yeah, lesson learned. Like, I took on a lot more design work than I needed to. I could have probably got away with, 3 design buildings with, like, a bunch of generic ones. I think that would have worked perfectly fine, but I don't know. Something about like having generic buildings is just, for me, is just like, oh man, I can make this so much more interesting if I just put the time in, and then next thing you know, here I am. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to, guys. Outside of that, I've recently taken up jiu-jitsu, and which has of course been like a little bit of a financial strain. Not too much, but like it's definitely brightened the fire under my ass. Let's just say that. That fire is burning brighter now, and I don't want to have to stop going to jiu-jitsu practice because I can't afford it. So now that this class is coming to an end, I mean, I don't plan on posting this work once the class is over. I might work on it for another few months. It's going to be a little bit more of a bigger project, I think. I'm not too sure. I don't want to actually spend a few more months on it, though. I'd say maybe 1 more month tops. I want to try to have this done by January. So December is probably going to be the last month I work on this. So yeah, like I said, I've been working on it 70 something, I think going on 80 hours over 4 weeks. So it's probably going to be another 160 hour project thingy. if I want it to look good. And then if I want to break down each building and all that kind of stuff, it's going to be a lot of more work on presentation and all that kind of stuff. But talking about some life things, I mean, my car is still running, fucking knock on wood, thank God. Like, this thing is ever since the transmission's been fine. Your boy pulled a dumbass move and put premium gas in my I put premium in my fucking tank on accident. And I could have I swear to God, I pressed like regular, but this thing pressed like, I think I pressed regular first, and then I pulled the gas pump and fucking like the belt or whatever, like the tube that comes from under it. Maybe I accidentally pressed it while turning, or something like that. But I was just, when I was in my car, I was just like, man, thank God it wasn't diesel. Thank God. My car would be done like if it was fucking diesel. Yeah, I haven't been applying too much for jobs yet. Like I said, with the class ending soon, I'm going to be able to focus more on that. And it's one of the things I struggle with the most. It's not even out of laziness. That's the part that sucks to me, that sucks. It's like, I just don't, when you look out there, or when I look out there at what jobs are being posted, I don't see myself qualifying for a lot of them because they're either for like lead roles, which one of my friend Satchit just applies for anyway. I just can't bring myself to do that. It just feels like a complete waste of time. Like, if someone's asking, like, for example, EA is hiring like a fucking senior concept artist, I'm not gonna apply to that. Like, dude, I have no experience in the game industry yet. Like, there's no way I just joined the industry as a lead. Like the responsibility that comes with that is just fucking astronaut. Like, I wouldn't even be a manager at the damn grocery store I'm working at, let alone be a lead concept artist. Like, what? So yeah, this is something that, like, mentally, it's very, very, it's a wall that is very hard for me to go through, and always just trying to figure out, how do I get over this? Because, like, you spend enough time looking at all of these job postings, and like, you apply to like the ones you find that you actually feel like you can apply to, that you feel like you actually have a decent shot at getting, a response, like a genuine response, or work. It's always like, you apply to those, you feel good for a couple of days, you get the rejection letter, and you're just like, fuck, like, those took me so long to find, and now I need to try to find some more to apply to, and it's not like you don't apply to things in between. It's not, you don't, like, I wouldn't apply to these jobs that I think I qualify for and just wait. I try to look for more, in the meantime. And I don't know, it's a very depressing cycle, I swear to God. Like, it's for a lot of the beginners out there, you might be looking at some of my work and just being like, oh, this guy's definitely getting work, and of course I have gotten work, but just not in the game industry specifically. For those of you who are new to my channel, like, my first gig was for like a creative fabrication company, mostly on the architecture side more than I would say game related, and then my second gig was pretty much for a fantasy book. So I mean, fantasy book is definitely more in the direction of the things I like. Holy shit, my screen went sleep mode. It's definitely closer in the direction, but like I said, it's just, man, that cycle is just, once I probably apply for jobs, I'm probably gonna, in the beginning, just take my own advice that I see you guys, when it comes to like learning things and trying to draw every day, just think of it like lifting weights, because that's essentially what you're doing for your mental. Like, you're building up the tolerance to be able to sit down and focus for, X amount of time, whatever time is needed to get those drawings out and studies done. And I have to look at that through the same lens in terms of applying for jobs. Like, I can probably go an hour tops at a time, and usually that'll pit me out for like a day or two, because like the thing is, like, the first hour is like, okay, you're seeing all these applications, like all these job places for the first time, but the next day you're coming to exactly the same posting. Like, 9 times out of 10 you're coming to the exact same postings, and then it's just like, okay, well, I need to find more companies out there. um whatever, it's just like the third day is probably even more demoralizing, because like now you have to dig even deeper, and it's just like it just keeps going. You keep having to find different ways to look around and see what's out there. It's just not a process that I'm very that I'm looking forward to going through, but it's necessary, and I need to get over it. Not necessarily get over it, but um I need to do it. And yeah, I have to start off. I can sit here and work on things for even recently, man. Honestly, like the past couple weeks. Let me actually pull up my. So okay. So these are my look. I've spent 1 hour, or no, 22 minutes this month. Set it for job hunting. Now this is probably, without a project, this is probably also the brainstorm class, but you can see the days that I can mostly work on. The days that I can mostly work on the brainstorm stuff is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Saturday, I usually try to relax. This Friday, I don't know what that's for, but yeah, it's been really hard to like. Oh shit. With me doing jujitsu now too, like that sometimes that of course takes 2 hours out of my day. So like Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday are the days that I usually go to jujitsu, and that kind of shows because you see like, and it usually takes about 2 hours out of the day. So like once I'm done with that, I come home and I'm just trying to like, chat with the boys and just chill out. But usually, yeah, I fall somewhere between 6 and 8 hours, and it's just when you're aiming for 8 and you stop at like 6.5, that's usually where I'm gassing out. Like every time, 6.5. You can see it here, like 6:48, 6:24, 6:59. It's just been really hard to like hit these numbers that I set for myself. Let me see. Yeah, it's just tough. It's tough, man. Like I think I'm just honestly, guys. I can just honestly say that I'm just tired, man. Like the thing is, like I don't want to sit here and doom, right? I don't want to discourage people out there who are coming down the same road that I'm going down. But like, it's like I've been working so hard towards just anything, and it's and if I'm being honest with you guys, it can definitely be demoralizing sometimes. But like, of course, I'm gonna keep putting the work in, but I have to keep an eye on my mental state, because like there's been some bad fucking weeks, man. Like where it ain't looking too hot. But yeah, it's just recently it's just been really tough to stick to each project, but I'm slowly getting the train moving again. It's just, god damn it. But yeah, usually on the days that I go to the store, because I work at the store part-time, so I'll be there 8 hours. I'm only there 3 days a week part-time, so that I can spend the time to work on these things, and whenever I have a gig, I actually can work on the gig. But usually on those days that I work at the store, being like Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, I usually come home and I just chill out. I play a game, I talk with the friends, I hang out, because it's like whenever I was working full time and I was also doing a gig, I would like wake up 3 hours before I have to go to work that entire time, and then come home, and then sometimes work even more. So like some days, dude, I was pushing like 12 hours, just like, oh my god, dude. It's just, man, that shit's not that's not fun. It's not fun. But yeah, it's yeah. So like I said, like one of the biggest things, I mean, just thinking about this year, let me make sure I'm still recording again, because this is a long ass video. Just thinking about this year in hindsight, man, it's been a really big year for me, so I don't want to be too hard on myself. And in terms of like what my past self wanted, from me being the future version or whatever back then, right? Like the main things that I wanted to achieve were like, getting my first gig and getting some experience to put on my resume, getting in the game industry, which is something I clearly failed at so far, but I have not quit. So, hey, maybe it'll happen this month. Maybe it'll happen next month. Who fucking knows? All right. I can't really know these things, but through the lens of that, I mean, me getting a gig on the game industry did not happen this year, but there's a lot of other things that I was able to achieve that are almost just as important. And try not to be too hard on myself because this isn't the only lens that I'm actually, or this isn't the only thing that I'm working towards, this year. In January, I decided like, okay, this is enough. Like taking the bus and taking all the taking Ubers and stuff. I should learn how to drive. So man, like I didn't have anyone to teach me, so like I literally bought $1,000 course at this like driving place near me, and they would come by my friend's house and pick me up and let me drive around the city for an hour, and then, I did that X amount of times until I was ready for my driver's test, and thank God I passed. So I got my driver's license this year. I learned how to drive. I got my first car. I moved out of my friend's place finally, and got my first apartment. Of course, I had my random event where my transmission was ass, so I had to get that rebuilt. But yeah, it's just, I mean, I started doing jujitsu this year too. So like last month or in October. Yeah, sometime in October. So I figured I would start doing that to kind of get me out of the house and stop myself from being so like walled off because, at work, people always invite me to things, and I'm not trying to sound like some big shot. Like people invite me to, go to clubbing or hang out at the mall and stuff. And I'm always saying no because I'm always trying to come home to like focus on concept. And I think that jujitsu was just a nice way for me to get active, and get out of the house. I didn't want to just go to the gym, I wanted something where I'm like meeting, new people. And jujitsu was kind of, I mean, I was originally looking for judo, but I started with jujitsu, and yeah, I've been learning that, and it's been really fun, and it's given me kind of a lot of relief, man. It's because it's keeping me active and it's keeping my body stronger, and so I don't wither away while I'm spending all these hours behind the screen, man. Because it's like I can only delay these things for so long before I'm basically like a skeleton sitting at my desk trying to finish these pieces. It's so yeah. I'm hoping that next year is just as eventful. I hope that like next year I really like to I don't know. I've at one of my previous jobs I learned a lot of Spanish, and it's completely unrelated to concept. I really want to brush up on my Spanish and take some kind of online Spanish course. And yeah, it's just a fun language to speak, and it's fun to like learn new words. Like some of the ways that I have fun, at this day job that I have, this shitty day job, but like sometimes every now and then, you get a customer that only speaks Spanish, and it's nice to be able to communicate with them, even if it's through the simplest words like you know do you want a fork in Spanish, or like do you want a spoon? Do you need your receipt? Do you want a double bag? It's just random shit like that. It's just like it makes the day go by a little better. It's just like, and then it's always funny too, because like I'll speak Spanish and then they'll be like, I know I'm not saying it right, so then I just ask them, como digo, like how do I say this in Spanish? Like, and it's just, I don't know, man. It just adds another layer And yeah, I'd like to touch up on that. Like, I'd like to get my Spanish to a decent level. So it's just, there's things that, dude, I'm the biggest nerd, man. Like, I'm sitting here at home taking Spanish classes, taking concept classes, and like, that's the kind of shit I usually, that I see myself spending money on, you know. I want to learn languages. I want to have my body be strong and know how to use it, you know. And that's kind of some of that's, you know, and it's completely off topic from concept, but I'm getting to that point where like I can't be so, you know, um, I can't only be looking at one thing. You know, I don't want to ignore the needs of, you know, I can't isolate myself so long. You know what I mean? I talk to my friends online every day and like all that kind of stuff, but like I there's so many other things that I want to pursue, just personal things, you know, learning new languages. My Mandarin's really shit. I know maybe my numbers, and like I know how to say I'm a student and that I can speak a little Mandarin in broken Mandarin pretty much. And one day I'd like to go back to Singapore and just experience it as a, you know, like a tourist, you know, like visiting, you know, not there for studying. And I'd like for my Mandarin to be a little better. Maybe one day I want to go and visit my friend Pac in Hong Kong, you know, like, and embarrass myself ordering something in Mandarin, you know. That's how you learn. It's just, there's so many things that I want to do, and I don't know, guys. I'm not saying like I don't want you guys to take this as like, oh, like concept's taking too long, I'm gonna try other shit. Like, no, I'm definitely like 90% focused on concept, but I'm just saying like I'm starting to realize that I can't just neglect, you know, other things that I've wanted to pursue for myself. Like, for me to start doing jujitsu, it was always like, all right, it'll be next month, it'll be next month, it'll be next month, and like, oh my god, it's so fucking expensive. And then like I experience it for a month, and then like it's like, holy shit, this is actually really worth it, you know. And for me, I just wonder how many things are like that out there. I want to try taking these classes for, you know, languages and learning new programs on Blender, and eventually, you know, the biggest thing I look forward to is like just having stability, even if it's not in the game industry, man. Like, I'd be perfectly fine working on some Kickstarter project for like a tabletop RPG or something, or like, you know, anything that where I can use my skill set and just have fun with it and grow. You know, like I say, the biggest thing that I look forward to is just having some kind of stable income. It's just really, it would really be my first. It would be my first experience with that kind of stability. I didn't grow up with the most stable income in my household. You know what I mean? Like, I really had a shitty time with that coming up, actually. But yeah, it'd just be great to not have such a bright fire under my ass for once. Yeah, and the whole thing with chasing. It's like I've never really been in a position where it's the norm to do what I've been doing, right? Like, it's like, how did I want to word it, man? It's like, okay, when not only did I chose a career path that wasn't like the typical thing, like, right? Of course, like that's every artist's story, right? Is like your parents want you to be like a doctor or like I was really close to being like a firefighter or something, or like going into the military, because, you know, there wasn't any real path for me outside of like going to college and all that, and I didn't want to do that because it was going to cost so much money. But one of the biggest things is like I decided to go into this, and now it's like, so that's like not the norm, right? And then now I'm like working a part-time job, and you know, like ducking, like, I don't know, man. It's like I feel like I still haven't had the chance to just have like a normal life. You know what I mean? I don't know, dude. Maybe I'm thinking of it too deep, but like, dude, I don't know, man. Like, I'll have people at work, you get invited to hang out and all this stuff, and it's just like, I throw all, like, I ignore all these things, all these friendships, all these like people I could, be hanging out with to pursue this thing, and it's not even like I can't even wholeheartedly say like I know exactly like what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like it's just like you never have it figured out. I don't know. But these are just things I just run past you guys because I don't want you guys to get to my position and not see that coming. This is something that I kind of knew would be the case before I even started chasing it, because it's like it's not a norm already to be an artist in terms of like how your parents are gonna look at it. It's just, I don't know. Anyways, though, I want you guys to just even though this year we may not have hit a lot of our goals that we set for ourselves, I don't really believe in New Year's resolutions per se, but like this year I just had like the idea that like, okay, well, there's a list of things that I haven't tackled yet that I really want to start moving towards. Like martial arts was one of them. Learning how to drive and getting my first car was one of them. Getting my first gig was one of them. And finally getting my own place was one of them. And these are all things that I've gotten closer to. So in hindsight, this has been a really good year for me. I have to be grateful for that and try not to, go into Doom City because I haven't gotten a gig yet. That's, a permanent position. It'll probably happen next year. That's okay. Like, it's okay not to hit every check mark on the list for a year or for a month or day or week or whatever. It's just, as long as there's some kind of progress and you're taking more steps forward than you are back, I think that's just something to be grateful for, man. Like I said, like when I accidentally put the wrong fucking oil in my tank, I was just so happy that it wasn't diesel, man. Like, and that's just the way I'm looking at, like, thank God I didn't have any, like, I don't know. I don't want to say anything crazy because, like, I don't want to jinx it. But, like, I'm just glad I'm just glad that the worst thing that happened to me this year was having to rebuild my transmission. Like, I'll take it. I'm glad that I put the money aside in case of that, and now year ain't over yet. So fingers crossed, man. But there was something else I wanted to say too, but I forgot. I'm gonna try to remember it, but I don't know. I've lost it. But what else was it, man? I'm trying to. There's one more thing I wanted to say, but I forgot, man. It is what it is. But next year we're gonna see what happens. Hopefully, just I don't know, man. Just don't be too hard on yourselves out there, guys. As long as we're consistent and we just keep trying to grow, just I don't know, stay focused. It's tough, man. It's like across the board with any job I've heard of. It's like people are going to college, coming out, and then they can't find a job for, a couple of years. It's always weird when like people ask me like, "Oh, are you here?" They'll be like, "Oh, you work tomorrow?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm part time." Like, "Oh, like what do you have another job?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I do design. And, like, in my mind, I'm just like, man. But if I was, like, I always have those intrusive thoughts where it's like, oh, if I was actually, a good designer, I wouldn't have to work here. You know what I mean? Like, you always get those kinds of thoughts. It's just fucking strange. But another thing is just outside of all the design stuff, I was thinking about not streaming for like monetary. I just think it'd be fun to like stream some of the older games I've been playing, like Baldur's Gate 2 and stuff like that on Twitch. I'm not too sure if I'm really gonna do it maybe even stream some design stuff. I think that'd probably be a little interesting. So if you guys somehow make it to this point in the video, just I don't know, comment, let me know what you guys think about it. Yeah, I'd be curious to see what you guys think. I don't, you know what, fuck it. Comment if you feel like commenting. I don't want to sound like these fucking YouTubers that that say they want to hear opinions and then they actually don't give a shit. I don't want to build that habit of just asking for people to do shit like that. But yeah, I'll see you guys. I don't know. I'll probably do these videos like on a monthly basis. I know a lot of you guys, like I've been in the Discords a lot lately, and like I've been in like art Discords a lot lately, and a few of you guys have actually found, like, come across me in some of them, and people always say like, oh, when's your next video? And it's like, the thing people have to realize is like, when it comes to making these videos, I make them when I feel like I'm ready to make them. You know, I never want to get into a point where I'm wasting people's time by just talking about shit that doesn't really have any meaning. Most of my videos are actually in relation to like work that I've been doing, and I always want it to be that way. And the thing people have to realize is that oh well, fuck, my screen fell off again. The thing people have to realize is that work takes time, you know, and that's just how it's gonna be. Like, I don't want to be, you know, rushing to do things like this, you know, in a week, to be able to say like, oh, I did this in a week, or like, you know, this is the top 10, you know, concept, you know, like, no, fuck that. Like, I'll tell you guys what works for me, and if it works for you, that's fucking fantastic. If it doesn't, hopefully the next thing I do works out for you. And if none of that shit works, then I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, that's just the mindset that I have. I don't want to sit around and just be thinking about, oh, what can I upload? Like, of course I like talking to you guys, but I don't like talking to you guys if I don't have anything to give you. You know what I mean? I don't want you to watch this and not get anything out of it. And I wouldn't want to watch a video and not get anything out of it. So it's just, you know, the way that like, sure, I always make these long ass videos, but like the thing is, like, they have a purpose, and I don't want that purpose to get muddied by trying to reach some like milestone or like you know, benchmark or whatever for some kind of like upload times. You know, that's not what I want my channel to be. I want my channel to be genuinely just trying to help people out, and if I did that, like, that's what makes me happy. I like running across you guys and like different Discords and just knowing that it helped you guys out. I don't know why I'm starting to get a little bit emotional from that, so I'm gonna chill the fuck out. But yeah, man. I hope you guys are good out there. Just take care of yourselves, and I don't know. Happy New Year's Eve or whatever the fuck. Like a month ahead. I'm like a month ahead of time. I knew I told myself I wouldn't curse in this video, but man, I just started seeing red. All right, I'll see you guys. Hopefully, like I said, like, this year's been great to me. I'm grateful for everything that's happened so far. Hopefully next year can be good as well. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This year ain't over yet though, so we'll see. We'll fucking see. But yeah, I just, next year I really just want to tackle more things that are gonna make me happy. You know, make other people happy, because I'm not getting any younger. You know, you know it's funny. Like, one of my friend's parents actually talked to me about this, and they were like, you know, how come you don't just become a truck driver and just make? That's the craziest part, right? Like, if I went full time right now at the grocery store, like, financially wise, like, I'd be able to save up a lot of money over the course of like a year or so. But like, would I have the time to actually work on my concepts and whatnot, or the energy? Fuck no. And it's like, when they brought that up, I was like, well, they were like, oh, you can always just be full-time, you know, truck driver or something, and just work on your stuff part-time until it works. And it's just like, that's just not gonna happen. Like, I'm not getting younger. Like, dude, I don't want to quote people, but like, I swear to God, like, it's like, yeah, they're like, oh, you can work on it later, and like, but dude, like, what am I gonna do it when I have like a whole family, and like I'm tired from that, and then like I don't know, dude. I just feel like in terms of like energy and having like the time, like I don't have as many distractions right now, and I'm just trying to make the most of that. And my biggest fear is that like I just run out of time and like it just never happens. So like I think that's why I'm just so always so locked in. Like like when I remember saying this to one of them, and they just kind of didn't have an answer. Like it was like, okay, well, say I waited until I was like 40, and it's not to say it's not possible at 40, right? But say this, I waited until that long. Like who's to say I'll have the energy to do that? Like I look at you guys, you're tired all the time. Like what the fuck? How am I gonna know? Like I still have that passion and drive and like and you know, I don't know. Like I'd rather do it now while I have the energy and no distractions and whatnot. But hey, I've talked enough this video. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys next month or something. Happy Halloween, happy Thanksgiving, all the months I missed. Hopefully you guys spent a lot of time with your families, and yeah, man, this video got a lot more serious than I thought it would be. All right, I'll catch you guys. Fucking goddamn it.